Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started here. So, kia ora koutou. My name is Marco. I am one of the certified consultants here at Engage Squared. I am also one of our AI champions. If you have attended any of our other sessions, you would have seen my face already, and you already know who I am. But for the benefit of those that don't, you now know. I am also joined today here by one of our principal ACM consultants, Lydia. She's going to be doing most of the presentation here today, so you'll hear from her a little bit later on. So just some general housekeeping items here. So to streamline the webinar delivery and just for answering questions and things like that, we're going to have you muted by default, and we are going to have the chat also turned off for this webinar today. Instead, we're going to be using the Q&A area. So if you do have any questions or any comments, please pop them in there. Also, please feel free to use the kind of react icon that's in Teams here to let us know if you really like something or something that, it just kind of vibes with you. Feel free to use those reactions. Speaking of interactions, we also will have, a couple of forms here and there for you to fill out. They're all like really simple 1 or 2 questions, just to get us a bit of a gauge of what you're thinking, where you are in your space at the moment, because we really just like to interact with people that come to our webinars. So a little bit about us. So we're Engage Squared. We're experts in technology solutions designed with people in mind. So we operate mostly within the kind of APAC region, and our focus is on delivering tailored solutions that add value for our clients. We empower teams and individuals to enhance organizational culture, increase productivity, and embrace modern work practices. So as your Copilot specialists, we lead the way in guiding you and your organization towards a successful integration of Copilot in the workplace. We've been recognized as Microsoft Partner of the Year for both 2021 and 2022, and we think these accolades really speak to our dedication and expertise we bring to every project. So a little bit of our webinar series here. So we've had 2 of these that you see here. So we had initially the AI in the modern workplace. So I do see a couple of names that seem familiar here that you may have attended one of those ones, either that one or the Preparing Your Organization for Copilot, which is a great session that covers all of the kind of technical aspects and getting your environment set up correctly for Copilot. So if you have not attended those 2 sessions, the recordings for those will be available on our website. So please do feel free to check them out. So a little bit of sorry, that's gone forward a little bit. So a bit of our agenda today. So we are going to be looking at why driving adoption is important. As we're kind of talking through with a lot of people, we're finding that the adoption piece is really quite important with Copilot because it's such a revolutionary way of working. It changes how people are used to operating with systems and technology. So adoption is really quite important. And then we'll look at some campaign and training examples. And then we will talk about how to build kind of a network of AI change champions that will pioneer the change within your organization. And then how to measure and demonstrate Copilot successes. So I will then toss it over to Lydia here in just a second to carry over the slides. Please note that in the background, I am going to be actually controlling the slides. So every once in a while, if I miss that I need to kind of queue up the next slide, you may hear her say next slide. Don't mind that at all. So Lydia, passing it over to you.
Kia ora koutou katoa. Hi everyone, I am Lydia, the Adoption and Change Management Practice Lead here for Engage Squared New Zealand. And I'm joining you today from a breakout room at the DigiGov Leaders Summit that I am at in Wellington this week. So hi everybody. So before we kick into the rest of the session, I noticed when we were putting our events up on Tech Week for this that it felt like every second event on the calendar was AI related, and I'd love us to just chuck in a quick summary of any other, have you been to other AI related Tech Week events and what some of those might have been, and have a wee look at that word cloud, and then we can use that to sort of inform some of our suggestions for the rest of the webinar today.
So Ailish has just chucked through a link in just that Q&A area there. So please feel free to go and click that to go and put your responses through. Or if you're using your mobile phone in front of your screen here, you can just scan that QR code that's on there as well. So hopefully we should see some responses load here in a second. We have had some issues sometimes with forms not loading correctly. So I'll just queue up a form in the background here just in case the responses are not coming through. Okay, looks like nobody has filled this out just yet.
Cool. Here we go. Those
Here
busy
we
typing,
go.
exciting things. Copilot
Excellent.
webinars, yeah. Oh, Deloitte events, yeah, I saw a few of the Deloitte ones. Awesome. What else have we got coming in there? Oh, Salesforce. Oh, yeah, cool. Give it another second. Assumption testing, education for schools. Oh, nice. All right, last chance to hit enter form fillers on the call. Brands and AI, small businesses. Yeah, amazing. AI is definitely the hot topic of Tech Week this year and just technology discussions in general. And as we've seen with some of our other questions that we've put up in polls throughout the week with our sessions, there's also a lot of concern about AI and how that is going to be implemented and how it is going to affect the ways that we work, both at our organisation currently and just in life as we move into these new ways of working with AI involved in our day-to-day lives. So what we're really talking about today is with that adoption and change management lens. So it's all very well that we've got this amazing tool, and for those of you that came along on Monday would have seen some of what Copilot can do when it comes to improving work. But why do we have this focus on doing the adoption side of the coin when it comes to technology? So when it comes to Copilot, we completely understand that it is a genuine cost for a business, and you really have to factor in how that cost is going to look. If you are investing that money on licenses for your people to get Copilot integrated into M365, then you've really got to make sure you get that return on investment. So the Copilot licenses are $30 US. At the moment, that's sitting at around $50 per user per month. So you need to be thinking about how you're getting that time back for people on that month-to-month basis to get that return for the investment. So if you've got sitting on 60K a year, you need people to be saving 2 hours a month, getting that time back for doing better directed work, 1 hour a month for someone on a 120K salary. And then there's also those intangible benefits of M365 Copilot as well. And we're not saying you'll only save 2 hours per month. I think you can save a lot more time than that using Copilot, but it also just really releases your brain from the admin of day-to-day doing business into giving you focused time back to do the real value add side of your jobs, which we know that we would all love.
Now, I must apologize here. I actually skipped a slide, and we're going to go back one to get you to fill out another form. Would love to understand.
This is just a real quick click, this one. And something that I am really passionate about is making sure organisations have change resource or adoption resource when they are doing technology projects. And I'd love to hear from those of you on the call today, does your organisation have dedicated change or adoption resource when you are doing those technology projects? Wow, to a more than one person. That's lucky. And what we hope that we can really show throughout the rest of this session is we go along is what that really value of doing adoption activities. This is all from the side of let's get Copilot going in your organisation today, but this isn't limited to Copilot. When it comes to technology adoption, the value add of having adoption change managers supporting your project is just huge, and it's too big to ignore, really. All right, last chance to respond. Oh, I don't know if we want to do that one right now. I feel like now we've gotten a bit form heavy, but that's okay. Maybe if we go on to slide 12 and have a wee look. So what is ACM? Just another fun acronym for everyone to learn. So ACM is not just change management, it's adoption change management. And it is about getting to the people and ways of working side of the change. So when you are doing that digital transformation or technology implementation project, the real success of a project comes from getting the humans involved to actually use the tools and adopt a new way of working with those digital tools. What our adoption change management really does is bridge that gap between employees' current way of working, which might be different to what you're asking them to do in the future, and actually channel that into a new way of working. And these aren't just a new way of clicking next on the digital activity that they have to do. It's also about all of that stuff around the edges that the humans are doing, so that you need to get them to adopt for a successful technology transformation. What we do is we are preparing, equipping, supporting individuals, driving that digital change to get your organisational objectives over the line. And there is global benchmarking statistics that show that projects just with a fair adoption change management program are 3 times more likely to meet business objectives than those with no or poor adoption and change. And projects with excellent ACM are 7 times more likely to meet those business objectives. So the value in just getting that transformation over the line with ACM is extremely high. In addition to being 7 times more likely to achieve project objectives, projects with excellent adoption and change management are also 4.6 times more likely to stay ahead or on schedule, and 1.4 times more likely to stay on or under budget. When it comes to an investment like Copilot, which we've already seen is 50 New Zealand dollars per user per month, that is going to start to become a large expense for your organisation should you choose to invest. So getting that benefits realisation is really critical to your organisation. And these aren't just fun made up numbers, guys. These are hard numbers from international ProSci benchmarking studies. And as well as these hard numbers, there's also lots of softer aspects that inform those. So it's really hard to quantify the sentiment of the people in an organisation, but excellent adoption and change really helps manage the expectations of all of your people, the results and how they're using it. And it also helps you address those concerns that people have when there is change in technology. So excellent change management is thorough, it's planned, it leads to on-time delivery, and it really prevents that redoing portion of a project. So you're not having to replan, retrain, redo, and all of that rework tends to skyrocket your budget. You want to get it right at the time of going live. So you can flip a switch and turn on a new solution, and you can absolutely flip a switch and turn on Copilot. But if you don't take the time to understand what your goals are for implementing a tool like Copilot, then it's going to be a real challenge to realise the benefits of that investment. So we don't have our heads in the sand, guys. We know there are definitely challenges to adoption for Copilot for M365. So when it comes to the change management for Copilot, there are really 4 core challenges that we have seen so far with Copilot adoption. The first one, and I'm sure this is one you're all quite aware of, is technical readiness. So ensuring that the system under the hood is actually ready to receive AI queries going through it. And that is your Teams or your document management that you're doing in Microsoft Teams. It is your SharePoint Online environments that AI is looking through. There are definitely a lot of businesses out there who are doing a bit of security by obscurity, in that it is so tricky to find what you need. It doesn't matter that you have access to it, because you just won't go and click in that obscure location to go and look at that information. However, with Copilot, if you have access to that item, you will easily be able to find it using the tool. So it's just really important to sit down together and really factor in how your permissions and controls and governance of your Microsoft 365 environment and your document management is looking before you start implementing Copilot too widely. The next challenge that we have is messaging AI. Oh, sorry, Marco. So it's really about how do we communicate about AI and Copilot to your organisation in a way that keeps people excited and ready to give it a go and happy and engaged, and not feeling anxious that the evil AI overlords are coming to take their jobs. And then third challenge we have is user adoption. So how do we actually prepare your humans, your people out in your organisation to use Copilot effectively? We don't want, as we've already said multiple times, we don't want to just turn it on. We want to actually get people feeling positive and confident using the tool and use it effectively in ways that can genuinely give them time back in their day. And then finally, we have sustaining innovation. So the full value of Copilot really comes from everyone experimenting and learning over time. So we don't want to just have an initial, oh my gosh, so exciting, we've got Copilot. We want to actually sustain that adoption, keep people improving, and also have continued innovation. Copilot in particular is one of those tools that every week is having new updates and new features added to it. And it's hard to stay across what all of those updates are, but we want to really create that culture of curiosity to make sure your people are continuing to improve how they are leveraging that AI tool to improve their work. So from there's really those challenges. There are really 3 keys to success when it comes to effectively launching and enabling Copilot for Microsoft 365, and it is more than just flipping a switch. So to enable long-term success, what we have really seen those 3 key ingredients to be is, one is your campaign training when you launch and drive excitement over concern. Make sure you do hands-on training, and then when you're doing that hands-on training, you're gathering feedback and you're hearing what the concerns are or what the excitements are, and let people know about what they can do with the tool. And you want to make sure that you create a space for continued learning and knowledge sharing so that your training momentum and your campaign doesn't get lost as Copilot becomes part of our everyday lives. Next up, strongly encourage you to build a champion network. Building a champion network is a really important facet of adoption change management, no matter what project you're doing. But when it comes to a tool like Copilot or AI in general, having a network of AI champions, you cannot underestimate the value of them as influencers in your organization to share passion and cascade those vital messages. They not just can share with each other, but they can support the rest of your people out there in the world doing frontline roles that maybe are a little more anxious, maybe want someone to sit with them to help them if they're going to adopt a tool. You really want them to be your passionate people who are the boots on the ground when it comes to adoption. And then finally, you really want to be able to measure success. You want to know what your return on investment is going to be when you are investing in those pricey licenses. So measuring ongoing success by planning your goals, your metrics, are you likely to hit them, looking at your adoption and time savings, and then how you can really identify high value use cases in the organisation to encourage wider adoption. All right, so let's have a little bit of a chat about some potential driving Copilot adoption campaigns and what some of those might look like. But first, or next, a form. Which will hopefully work. So one of the offerings that Microsoft is offering to us as a Microsoft Solutions partner, but also to you out there as people with Microsoft tenants, is a funded adoption accelerator workshop for Copilot. So we'd just love to know if people have done these and if they have one scheduled, haven't done one, chuck it in. Cool. Oh, no. Well, a great time then to let everyone know that this is a funded option that's currently available that we can nominate you for as a Microsoft partner. So if you are interested in getting that, there are no consulting fees. Microsoft sorts it all out, and we can just take you through that little bit of a accelerator workshop to identify what your technical readiness steps might need to be and what your adoption roadmap could look like. And it gives you just sort of a chance to get your foot in the door and have a bit of a better look at Copilot and see how you might be able to leverage it in your organization. And on that note, we've got a little bit of a Copilot use cases that you could use for a campaign coming up next. So I think there is a bit of a conception out there that Copilot is just ChatGPT by Microsoft, and that has come from the way they have integrated the standard web-based Copilot into Microsoft Edge, and people were seeing it popping up just from having their free personal Microsoft login. And that version of Copilot is pretty much ChatGPT by Microsoft. But when it comes to the full enterprise product of Microsoft Copilot for M365, it is a whole lot more. And it's really integrated across all of your M365 productivity tools to use for things like summarizing stuff, searching for things, content creation, recapping meetings. And those use cases can really get across well to your people when you're showing them the problem that it might be able to solve. So if someone is drowning in emails, getting the hang of using Copilot and Outlook can really help you get across that. you can summarize entire email threads or even all emails that you've recently been mentioned in, and Copilot can give you just bullet pointed list of what's going on and what your actions might be. You can draft responses. So you can go from just a quick Copilot prompt to a draft email ready for you to tweak and get past that blank, how on earth am I going to respond to this email feeling when you're trying to catch up. And that chat built into Outlook can really help you quickly trawl through, find things like, where's that PowerPoint Marco sent me 3 weeks ago? And Copilot will find it quicker than you will filtering and then scrolling through, looking for particular things in your emails. The next big pain point that's a really good place to sell this tool to your organization to encourage adoption is that too many meetings feeling. I know that I struggle with it at the moment, and I constantly feel like I am double or triple booked some days across a range of meetings, and I have to really prioritize what I'm going to go to. And we've been recording meetings for quite a while now. I feel like pretty early on in the sudden jump to virtual work at the start of the pandemic, we started recording meetings all the time. But let's be honest, guys, put your hand up how many meeting recordings you would actually go back and watch, or how much of them you would watch. I feel like we were just generating video content for fun. What I absolutely love about Copilot for this is the intelligent recap. So I can get meeting notes from meetings that I missed, and I do not need to go back and watch the recordings. I do not need to go and read through the transcript. Copilot's able to do that really intelligent recap. It is also now, it's come along even since we started talking about it with our clients this year. It will automatically chapter your meeting recordings, and you can go in and read the AI generated chapter titles and maybe just jump to the 5 minutes that you did really want to hear what happened in the meeting, and the rest you can get from reading those meeting notes. It will also really robustly identify required actions and follow-ups. I've even found that I've started saying, oh, Copilot, please capture the action to XYZ, to make sure that we capture it in the meeting notes and not have to make a note of that myself while I'm busy presenting on a call. And also, you can use Copilot inside the meeting while it is live yourself. If you are sort of trying to think of the right question to keep the conversation going in a workshop, something like that, you can ask Copilot to suggest prompts or suggest questions to keep generating ideas in a online meeting. And then that final pain point, that's the really good use case to sell with your sort of early adoption with Copilot, is writer's block. So I think there's probably plenty of people here who have used ChatGPT to generate some content in the past year or two since it was launched. But Copilot is embedded in your M365 productivity tools. So you can be doing content drafting across that suite, whether it's emails, whether it's writing Word documents, and to a lesser extent, the technology is still really developing in the PowerPoint and Excel place, but in those tools as well. And you can really turn things like ad hocs, jotted down notes from OneNote into a good Word document report really quickly using that writer's block, the content generation in Microsoft Word. And what's really good about Copilot, and is the point of difference when it comes to, well, I could have just put that prompt into ChatGPT, is that it's keeping your business data secure. When you're using those writer's block content drafting tools, you are only doing it inside your business's M365 environment, and you are not feeding the global LLM like you are if you're going and leveraging ChatGPT to draft that content. So from those of you on the call today, another just quick click button one, have you invested in any Copilot licenses for your organization yet? Thanks, team. Yeah. It's an interesting range, and not just what we're seeing here, but what we're seeing with clients as well is quite often they have maybe bought 2 or 3 licenses, and a couple of people in an IT team might be trialing them. And quite often, what's happening is that's leading to fear and less opportunity to think of good use cases and adoption ideas, which is really good if you are trialing a few licenses to maybe find a early adopter business champion that is someone who can really leverage the productivity gains of Copilot and actually feed back to your IT decision makers about how it could benefit them and your wider business. Thanks, everybody. So we have a pilot group example from an engagement that our Australian team did with a health organisation, and they did a 180-day pilot of Copilot since the start of this year. And the Microsoft benchmark for time saved with Copilot in their work trend index report was 4.8 hours on average saved per user per month, and an average time saving of about 1.5 hours a week. When it came to our pilot group, that was, I think, 300 people in this cohort, that was 10 hours on average per user per month, about 2.5 hours a week of self-reported time saving that the users in this pilot were experiencing. And you can see that those time savings per individual person using Copilot to do things like catch up on their emails and summarize meeting notes quickly is generating, in this case for this group, the productivity gains of about 20 people per year. So that is really showing how you can just give your people back a bit of time to do something focused and productive rather than spending time on the admin side that Copilot can really help them with. So another campaign example, I just want to show you sort of that earlier stage of what we can do is actually map out the different people in your organization. After you've seen everything Copilot can do, where might you actually get genuine productivity gains for your team, and really prioritize who are the right people to include in the allocation of licenses that you might buy to do that pilot. So when it comes to, for example, some executive team members, quite often you have very short turnarounds to read extremely long and detailed documents and things like PDFs and massive Word documents. You can, just like you can get a meeting summary, you can also use Copilot to say, hey, please write summary notes about this document for me. So if you don't have time to deep read the document, you can skim read through it. You can use Copilot to highlight important points and summary notes, and maybe focus your deep reading on key areas of the document thanks to Copilot. When it comes to your administrative support staff, having a Copilot license assigned to them, and they can be the one to go in and record the meeting, they can then use that intelligent recap to generate meeting minutes and get them over that line with being able to pull out those notes and get ready to distribute those meeting minutes on a much faster turnaround than traditional minute-taking methodology. So this will only work for virtual meetings, so definitely something that you need to adopt that mentality of how you're going to record meetings and thinking about making meetings hybrid when you can. Another activity we did with this particular group was looking at internal services. Sorry, Marco, I'm still on that previous slide. Things like email generation. So when people are needing to do a technology outage comms and they don't have the comms resource available at the moment to help them get all of those things drafted and written and sent, you can leverage Copilot to help you do that sort of thing. And then equally for that communications team, if you have a lot on the go and you're a really small team with potentially a large organisation, You can be using it to do comms drafting, do communication refining, things like if you have to do a newsletter with really strict word counts, maybe you had a long form of something, you can use Copilot to help you get it honed down and ready to send. And as you can see with this group as well, also identified some barriers, and it's worth identifying those barriers and restrictions and highlighting them earlier in the piece so that you are ready to talk to them and ready to cross that bridge when you get to it. So just an example of some adoption assets here. So that pilot, oh no, it's a different pilot, this one. This was with Australian Post, this example. You can see the adoption assets and campaign materials that were available to be sent. There's a pilot group training session. There were these beautiful reference one pages that could be published, potentially printed for people that like to have a sort of a handout to look at when they're trying something new. And these are all really valuable tools to use in your adoption campaign planning. One moment, sorry. When it comes to things our customers that we've been working with have been telling us about Copilot, one of the biggest piece of feedback is that people are really wanting the ability to be able to populate templates. At the moment, when you want to go and draft a Word document with Copilot, for example, it is not going to give you that automated population of a template. It is really something that you need to really start early with communicating to your people. There is that misconception that, oh, it's AI, it will just magically automate the entire thing for us. And it is just not the case. It's really about letting people know this is really cool developing technology and this is what it can do right now. Let's make the most of what it can do at the moment. I know I've already raved about it, but tried and true, the meeting intelligent recap is the #1 loved feature from everyone that we talk to. And then the #1 moan is that Excel and PowerPoint don't really work yet. Those two have definitely been sort of the last cabs off the rank in terms of Microsoft's development roadmap for Copilot, but they are getting better. Each week I see new features and new skills that are coming into Excel and PowerPoint, and I hope that in a few months' time they will be up there with what Word can do and what Outlook can do, and so on. One of the other feedback points that we get is customers are still worried that Copilot is training the global ChatGPT model as well. Copilot is secure in your environment. I'm not going to go into it too much more here today, but you can go back and look at our other webinars this week if you haven't already, to get your assurances around security. And then the final one, just to quickly mention here, is people are quite confused by Microsoft's inconsistent messaging when we've got that Copilot chat that is built into Edge that your personal kids family account can go and use and have a look at. Then we've got that same Copilot chat that's built into Edge on your enterprise login, and that is not the full Copilot for M365. Anyone who has a license to use M365 gets that Copilot in Edge, whereas if you get the full Copilot license, you're going to see it across all of your other apps and be able to use that extended functionality. So what are some of the ways that we can manage the messaging to your organisation? We know there are a lot of anxieties or myths that float around about AI, as we've already discussed, and there are ideas from our people that it is going to be so efficient and so amazing that it will replace your job or replace you completely. Or the inverse is that it's so inefficient that it'll take more time to review the outputs or correct the mistakes. So all of these are really coming from the common fear that technology will fundamentally change our way of working. and we can't shy away from it. AI in our work is here, and it is here to stay, and it will fundamentally transform the way that we work. But we want to navigate this space as an exciting opportunity and chance to transform and free up time from menial admin to get back to where we can genuinely demonstrate value in our jobs. And demonstrating that value through really specific use cases can drive it home for your people. So just really encouraging everybody to explore and share their experiences, and it will encourage everybody's natural curiosity to give it a go and be excited about it. So, I mean, the reality is it's a generative AI is a tool, and it's a tool for us to use. It can be an assistant to us and not a replacement. So take this time when you're doing this with your organization to make it really clear that AI is there to help you with your mundane tasks and open you as an individual up for more creativity and innovation. So when it comes to focusing that message, one of the ways to focus the message is to frame the value of Copilot around the issues that your employees are currently facing. And I highlighted this earlier as well. The first one can be that broken meeting. As I said, we're often overbooked in meetings. It is really great to have things like that intelligent recap there. The second here is the information labyrinth. So there are too many methods of communication, and heavy email users end up spending entire days in emails. So a heavy email user, look at this, will spend the equivalent of an entire workday, 8.8 hours per week on emails. If you can hone that down to some time savings, that is a huge win. Finally, we've already talked about this one too, is that blank page. So if you're spending your days in meetings bouncing between tasks, content switching all of the time, you don't have time to put your head down to the work that really matters. Using Copilot to help you clear out some time to get some focus time, and then help you get past that writer's block to get drafting, will genuinely enable you to do more. So the other side of the communication coin is actually the training element as well. We can't just communicate, we also have to train. It can be really hard to train for an evolving tool like Copilot. As I said, every week there are new features. You cannot really stay on top of every update, but you can create a culture of knowledge and curiosity. And that curiosity is what is so important, because if you're training for the role someone is doing and the tools they have to use, you can set that foundational level of understanding while also setting the expectation for continuous improvement. So encouraging people to continue to try new things, improving their skills. Also creating a knowledge hub or a space for your people to share their testimonials, their questions, their ideas, their funny results that they have had, will really lead to organic discovery for everybody, and that can accompany a more formal training activity as well. So we've mentioned them already, but I really want to highlight the value that a champion network, slide please, and again, can bring to driving a tool like Copilot. So who are the people that are encouraging that curiosity to keep everyone engaging with this ever improving tool? The first key to leveraging a champion group is to identify what that network will look like. They are more than just users in your organization who form a group. They are a really key resource, and you want to identify the critical players who are not necessarily in IT roles. You want them to be out there working in your business roles, who are the types to be early adopters of technology, have a go at things, be the curious people. And also they are people that work side by side with people who might be the resistors, who are finding the concept of adopting AI really scary and concerning. They are the people that are going to be promoting the tool and supporting that adoption with their personal influence. out in your organization. And they're really good liaisons between the project team or the technology team and their end user audience, because they can give you that qualitative feedback and report back on how things are going in their teams when it comes to adopting a tool like Copilot for M365. So why do we need our Change Champions network? And we've already mentioned this, it is really important just to have those boots in the ground driving that change out at the individual level in your organisation. And you also enable them to establish that community and amongst themselves to have that knowledge sharing to improve what they are influencing and supporting their end users. It also reduces that top-down communication. Instead of having an executive sponsor who sends out a comms to managers, who sends out a comms to all of their staff, they read the comms and find out that something's happening, you are having that ad hoc day-to-day discussion that can really help your people think about adopting a tool. If you say, oh, look at this email that I just had Copilot write for me, that saved me 15 minutes, you can show your neighbour that that can be championing the tool in your organisation. What's really important is to set your expectations for your change champions. So make sure that they're really understanding what's in it for them and the need for that change of adopting Copilot. You want to make sure you're really engaging and supporting your champion network and supporting them to then engage and support their teams. They are essentially acting as a role model of what good can look like using that tool. And we want to make sure we are leveraging their qualitative feedback for monitoring that adoption progress within their team and feeding it back up to the project. We can also leverage that network to identify and escalate pain points. There is a really common moan that is coming out of adopting Copilot. Your champions are a great way to feed that back up to the project team. We also can use them back the other way to support the resolution of those pain points with the team. If you create some new training assets or some new recommendations or guides, you can leverage those champions to feed back resolution of pain points. And then on top of that, we can expect those change champions to maintain that network with each other so that they can continue to be curious and improve adoption of the tool. So some sample champion activities can look like activities that you as a AI adoption project are going to support your champions to do. So you can have like train the champion sessions, project syncs. You can give them like a meeting in a box guide. So the kind of thing where they have a nice little like meeting script they can use at their team meetings to encourage their people they're influencing to adopt a tool like Copilot. You can also provide one-to-one coaching on the technology or group coaching on the technology to your champions network. And then when it comes to what the champions are then going to go and do, we want them to be monitoring and answering questions about Copilot from the team that they work in. We want to feature champions and success stories in the organisation to build excitement about how well Copilot is going at your business. You want to have champions supporting with things like trainings within their own team or even office hours within their own team so that people have someone that they know and trust who works in their business unit available to answer their questions and support them to upskill when it comes to AI. And then finally today, we just want to touch on how do we measure success. So it's all very well to have that beautiful qualitative feedback coming in from our champion network, but how do we actually measure that and turn that into a business case for continued Copilot adoption? Maybe we can just click through these. It's quite a lot of animations. So we want to look at the key processes where Copilot could have an impact. We want to see how users are empowered to effectively use Copilot, can create a business case to recommend how you'll move forward with AI, user can understand the bounds of the tool, manage the perception of Copilot, but really what we want to do is measure that impact and return on investment that you have got from those licenses. So how do we measure Copilot success? Next page, please. Is a combination of things. So sentiment analysis is that qualitative feedback. So user surveys, feedback forms, and interviews really can shape the trust and familiarity. There is an amazing Copilot adoption dashboard that is available in the Viva Insights environment that can really tell that story of growing adoption. It also allows you to set a control group of people who do not have Copilot licenses versus your Copilot pilot group and really see how the adoption is working and how it can be improving on people's time. And then you also want to identify and map potential processes that Copilot could help with, automate, speed up, or improve. And so that is when you can start to get into a little bit further through your pilot, some good A/B user experimentation and testing of how you can leverage Copilot more widely than those core use cases. So before you start getting excited about additional automation and extending and A/B testing, you really want to have a clear vision of what you want. For each business unit in your business will use Copilot differently. And so by really setting those metrics early and identifying what you want, whether it's frequency, time saved, quality of output, before you get started, then you're going to have a more successful experience. So I mentioned this adoption dashboard just before, but this is where you're going to get those hard numbers associated with the adoption and this new Copilot adoption dashboard. It's powered by Viva Insights, which is available in your M365 stack. It can help you really drill down usage into the activity of what's going on with Copilot. You can review all of the active licensed users. You can see user counts per action, and then you can adjust your adoption campaigns and materials and push out more adoption activities and then hopefully see an increase in those numbers. So when you take these hard numbers and you add them into that sentiment feedback that maybe you're gathering via your champions or surveys, you can really paint that picture that can feed into your business case for AI licensing and AI adoption for your organization. So we are a Microsoft Modern Work consulting team, as Marco already gave us the briefing on at the start of the call. So when it comes to our areas of specialty, we have different stages. Already mentioned that there is the Microsoft funded workshops available if you have the right sized organisation, and we can do those out of the possible accelerator workshops. We can do technical readiness and enablement. We can support you with pilots with varying levels of hands-on assistance, support and training. It can be small, just a little bit of a kickstart through to an end-to-end handheld pilot, everything through to a full rollout and a long-term adoption, white glove training, hands-on user support, ongoing reinforcement for lasting success to adopt Copilot. And then alongside that, as we also have from our technical delivery team, we can enable you to extend Copilot into your other tools through Copilot connectors and Copilot Studio as well. Thank you all so much for your time today. To my beautiful chat question moderators, do we have anything to call out from there?
No questions.
Thanks, everybody. We will be publishing our recording to the session over the next day or two, and we look forward to hearing from any more of you who might want to find out about the accelerator workshop if it's available to you.
All right. Thank you so much all for joining us. And we hope you have learned something of value today and that you have a very good rest of your day. If you do need to reach out to us, please do find us on our website or just flick us a message whenever you need to. Have a good rest of your day and have a good weekend. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, team.